Do you want to become successful, create a healthy and wealthy life? Then this video might be for you. This video is about a speech held by Jordan Belfort at the Oxford Union. Jordan Belfort, most likely everybody knows after the movie Wolf of Wall Street. In this video, I highlight a speech held by Jordan Belfort a couple of years ago at the Oxford Union. And the Oxford Union is a 200 years old debate club in which new ideas, challenging ideas, revolutionary ideas are up for debate and presentation to the public audience. In this video, Jordan Belfort tells his lessons, his 10 lessons he learned in his career, and he calls them the 10 commandments. Enjoy the video. Have a great day.
Okay, so the 10 commandments, or should be the wolf's 10 commandments for entering the real world, right? Okay, so number one, give me a click here. Okay, I tried to go in ancient biblical language. Thou shalt not think things are okay just because they're transpiring. Let me tell you what that means. One of the scenes in the movie that I think is the most destructive, and I love the movie. Who likes the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, right? No doubt, great movie, right? But there's one scene that is destructive and I think is very dangerous for you to misinterpret. So let me tell you what it is. No, right. No. That I totally promote. No, just kidding. You want to hear the most embarrassing thing? I'll tell you. I brought my mother to the premiere and she was sitting next to me. And I hadn't thought the whole thing through. You're like, Mom, I want to be like my mom walking down the red carpet. Oh my God, right? Anyway, I'm like, Mom, it's all fiction. Scorsese has such an imagination. She's like, I know what you're capable of. And by the way, my mother is a brilliant, let me just say about my mother, just so you know the kind of family I come from. My mother, she's now 85 years old. She has not only all her faculties, but she can bend down and try and jump. Unbelievable, right? But listen to this. In the 50s, when she was in her late 20s, she was the only woman to be down in New York City working in a big 6 accounting. It was a big 8 back then. She was a CPA back in the 50s. When women were not CPAs working in Manhattan, and she rose to the very top of her profession throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s, was blazing a trail for women in the workplace back in that era. In the 1990s, after I made a ton of money and I made my parents very rich from that, I took care of them, right? My mother decided she wanted to go back to law school. She went back to law school and she was 71 years old. She graduated when she was 75, and she was the oldest woman in New York State to pass the bar exam. And then she won Pro Bono Lawyer of the Year for doing Women for Battered Women charity in Long Island. My mother's an incredible lady of the highest ethical ideals. So you wonder, how the fuck did I go, right? My dad too. But I think that's why these lessons are so important, because the first one has to do with ethics and integrity. And here's what it is. When in the movie, there's a scene where I go to my first day of work in that penny stock firm, and I look around and I see this sort of slipshod, weird people on the phone, like lying, screaming. And I look at the manager and I say, is this stuff legal? And he says to me, well, kinda. Let me tell you something. If he would have said that to me, I would have run out the door. I would have never worked at some place that was breaking the law. But what do you think he really said to me? He said, of course it's legal. We are members of the SEC. We're registered. How can we be in existence? So you know what? Let me just tell you something. There are companies all throughout London, okay, not a lot, but there's some that are breaking the law, scamming, doing things. There's boiler rooms, there's stuff out there that's happening. And you need to understand, just because you walk, when you leave here and go into the real world, just because you walk into a room or a business and they're doing things a certain way, just because they're doing it doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's legal, doesn't mean it's ethical. You get it? It could be happening, transpiring, and it's not right. So don't take what you see at face value out in the real world. And that leads me to number 2, okay, which is, thou shalt listen to that feeling in thy stomach, or should I say that sickening feeling in thy stomach. In other words, deep down, I'm sure you're all very good. Come on, you're all here, you've studied hard, you're at the most prestigious college in the world, basically, right? It's like this and Harvard, what else is there, right? You know right from wrong. You know right from wrong, don't you? Yes, you do. Your parents taught you well and your teachers instill in you every day and you're all ethical people. Come on. You know when you're doing something wrong. You get that feeling in your stomach. Who knows? Raise your hand. You don't. Come on. Raise your hand. Everyone, come on. You don't? You have problems. You have a moral compass, okay? If you walk in some place and you get this feeling that's saying it's just not right, you know what? It's probably not right. Listen to that feeling in your stomach. I knew, I'll be honest, okay? The fact is, the guy said, of course it's legal. Of course we don't break the law. How could we? We're registered with the SEC or the NASD. Look, here's our last deal. It's a prospectus, right? I said, okay, well, I guess it's legal. But in my heart, in my soul, I knew it just didn't feel right. I could sense there was something wrong. How could you charge someone $1 a share and take 60% in commission? How could that be right? But it was happening. So I said, I guess it's okay, because they would have shut it down. Guess what? The wheels of justice grind slowly. When you go out into the workplace, be careful. You worked your whole lives really hard so far to get to, learn the things you now know. Go out there and be vigilant, okay? It's one thing if you go to a well-known company with an established track record, but if you walk into a little place where no one knows about it, and I'm not saying it's a scam, just be aware. Okay, just don't take what someone says to at face value. Investigate, do your research, ask people who know better, older people who've been around the block a couple of times, okay? A couple of 100 times, all right? And make sure that you, A, don't take things at face value, and B, if the feeling in your stomach says it ain't right, listen to that feeling, because it's probably the right one. Make sense? Yes? You can say yes? Yeah. All right, good. Number 3, thou shalt commit thyself to mastering the art of failing elegantly. This is an entrepreneurial tactic which most young people don't know because they haven't failed yet, really failed. There's 2 ways to fail in life, in business. Let's talk about business. You can fail elegantly or you can fail miserably, okay? Failing elegantly is a way of going about starting a business or launching a new division of a company that allows you to test out an idea or a concept quickly, to get your read, whether it's right or wrong, whether it works or doesn't work, without losing a fortune, without losing a lot of time, versus failing miserably where you lose tons of money, it takes a lot of time, and you end up with nothing but a bankruptcy. Now, when I was 22 years old and I launched my first real business, I went bankrupt. It was the meat and seafood business. I started with 1 truck. I grew to 26 trucks, was making a ton of money, I thought, but I was making every mistake a young entrepreneur can make. I was overexpanding. I was growing with credit. I was undercapitalized, wasn't screening out my employees. Before I knew it, I was out of business, and I failed miserably, lost everything and declared bankruptcy. Nowadays, when I'm approached with an idea, and I like it, I'm going to test the idea, I'll do it in a way that, A, if I'm wrong, I don't lose much money, or better yet, I'll use other people's money. Seriously, I'll always take in an investor and make less on the upside if it means I can protect myself on the downside. And B, I always structure my tests so I get my reads as quickly as possible, so I know quickly the information. And then I can change my approach and try again. Change my approach, and sure enough, by doing that again and again, eventually you'll hit on the right formula. I don't care how smart you are. It's so rare that when you go into business or you try something new that you get it right the first time. The first evolution of an idea is not usually the right one. And when you see that all through history, businesses after business, where they all are now making money, not on how they thought they'd make money. It's some evolution of the idea. If you fail miserably, you'll never get the chance. By structuring your tests so you can fail elegantly, you can test again, and so forth. And then you get to number 4. You can click on that. Commit thyself to mastering on succeeding wildly, meaning, what do you do when the shit is right? What do you do when your idea works? How do you take a small idea and turn it into a big idea? Take a small company, turn it into a regional player. Take a regional player, make it into a major multinational. The rules for failing elegantly and succeeding well are almost diametrically opposed. They're opposites. You have to know how to do both. to be an entrepreneur. Now, I don't have time to teach you this stuff today, but most of my stuff is all been pirated online, okay? If you want to pay for it, you can, okay? You know, I want you to pay for it, yeah. But seriously, a lot of my stuff is all on, I put my stuff out there because I don't really care about that, right? We live in a world now where you can't, if you're a musician, you're not gonna make money on selling records anymore or CDs, right? Because everyone's downloads for free, right? So I don't care what you do, right? But the information's out there. But I want to highlight to you how important it is to understand when you go into business, you need to focus on these two things. A, go into it with your eyes open, knowing that you're probably not right in the first evolution of your idea, no matter how great it is. And go into it and learn how to fail elegantly. And then on the flip side, when you get it right, understand what steps you have to take to succeed wildly. Make sense? Yes? Yes, great. Let's go to number 5. Thou shalt always remember that average sucks. Okay? I'm a believer, okay, that the enemy of greatness in life is good. Here's the problem. When people are going through life, if things are okay, they aren't feeling enough pain to make a change. It's like if I say to you right now, I say, okay, everybody raise your hand as high as you possibly can. Everyone raise your hand as high as you possibly can. Right now. Everyone do that, please? High as you can. Now just a little bit higher, a little higher. What the fuck is that, right? I meant the first time. I said raise it as high as you can. A little, oh, if you really mean it. It's that level above where your comfort zone is. That's where I want you to shoot for. Don't go through life burning at 10 watts or 50. Be a 100-watt person and burn bright. Don't settle for average. You know, like in the movie, I say there's no nobility in poverty, right? Well, this is not a poverty crowd, right? No one here is going to probably end up in poverty. But don't go through life, whatever average means to you, don't let that be your life. Who's seen the movie Jerry Maguire? Raise your hand, right? You know, great movie, right? You know the Kwan. You know, it's just the Kwan. It's like it's a great phrase in the movie. The best of everything. It's not just about money. It's about money, connection, spirituality, love. It's everything in life firing on all cylinders at once. The Kwan. Don't go through life just saying, you know what? I'm okay being average. Average sucks. It does. I promise you this. When you learn, it's almost like training yourself to not settle for less than extraordinary. It's basically your own standard. You will live a life that's so full of joy and happiness and some misery too, because you need to have both to know the difference, right? But so much joy and so much passion, that's where it is. It's at extraordinary standards. Don't settle for average. Make sense? Yes? Please don't, okay? Because you'll look back one day when you're old and gray, almost like I am, right? And you'll say, you know what? That frickin' sucked. Because those few moments in my life when I was extraordinary, that was when I felt most alive. You go through, like you have one life to live, right? Just go for it. And don't settle for anything less than total and utter excellence. Okay? Next slide, next one. Number 6, thou shalt commit a not, and the not, take out the fucking not, okay? I've edited this out 5 times, so it keeps popping up. Thou shalt commit thyself to mastering certain specialized skills. Let me tell you what this is probably one of the most important things when it comes to success. In every endeavor you go for, whatever job, whatever business you start, there's going to be certain specialized skills that are required. And you need to become extraordinary at them. Let me tell you a story. How did this whole thing happen in my life, right? How did I write this book, okay? How did I go out and take this book and turn it into this whole business that formed a movie and a global brand, right? Well, let me tell you something. I was in jail, okay? And when I show up for jail, who's my bunkmate? Believe it or not, Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong. You know Cheech and Chong? He's my bunkmate. Right? Now, I wasn't in the worst jail in the world. I admit it. I wasn't getting butt-fucked each night. My boat was not there. It was a federal prison camp, okay? It was okay. But still, jail's jail and it sucks, right? Tommy's my bunkmate because we were both celebrities. They put us together in one cube. It was a little cube. He's writing a book, right? So Tommy says to me, oh my God, we would tell each other stories at night, and I'd have him rolling on the floor laughing. Man. So by night 3, he goes, you know, I thought you were making this shit up, but my wife Googled you, and it's all true. You live this crazy life. He goes, you gotta write a book. You gotta write about this stuff. So I said, well, I don't know how to write. He says, well, just write the way you speak, the way you tell a story. So, well, guess what? I tried that, doesn't work. Writing and speaking are very different skill sets. They just are completely different. And for the first month or so, I'm writing a couple of pages. I show them to Tommy. He reads it and goes, wow, that really sucks. I'm like, thanks, Tommy. Tell me what you really think, right? And I was depressed because I couldn't get anything out in paper that was meaningful or funny, right? And I almost was going to stop, and I hate quitting anything. And I went to the prison library one day. There's prisons in the library, right? And I stumbled upon a book called Bonfire of the Vanities by Tom Wolfe. And I started reading this book, and I'm like, oh my God, this is how I want to write. So I plow through the book, finish it, and I start back at page 1. I take out a yellow highlighter, and I use this book like a textbook. And for 3 months, I ripped apart every single word, and I broke down Tom Wolfe's strategy for writing. How does he introduce characters? How does he describe people? How does he describe locations? How does he create conflict? How does he go into scenes, out of scenes? How do you use words like had, H-A-D? I didn't even know the word, you say the word had so quickly in language that guess what? When you actually have to write things, if you don't know how to use the word had in the past tense, nothing makes sense. I had to learn. I wasn't a writer. I was a biochem major. You get it? So I didn't know how to write. And guess what happened? My writing improved. And I kept studying and improving. And my writing improved to such a point that I said, wow, I'm kind of getting the hang of this. Then I picked up another book, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Figured it's appropriate, right? Hunter S. Thompson, great writer about drugs and insanity. Figured it's great. Read through that book. And that was sort of ended my sort of education. And I used these as models. And I taught myself a specialized skill. What am I really saying? Sometimes it doesn't matter how much you want something or how hard you're willing to work to get something. If you don't possess the actual skill set that's required to do it, it's delusion. And most people don't get that. They'll try to go into a business that's sales-based, but not master the art of sales and persuasion. They'll try to go into another type of business, not master, whatever it might be. They don't master their craft. The first thing you got to do when you know what you really want to do for a living. Now you're in school right now, so you think you're kind of sort of narrowing the base, maybe. But most people, they get out, they don't even do it. They went in college. You study, it doesn't translate many times, right? So maybe it will, maybe it won't. But the first thing you got to do is say, okay, I want to do this. What specialized skills do I need to learn? And fucking take the time to learn them. Master your craft. Don't settle for just being average at what you do. You got to become amazing at it. Become a force of nature. You're here, so you're freaking smart, right? You guys are smart, okay? So seriously, there's nothing you can't learn. There's nothing skill you can internalize through hard work and effort. But it's hard work and it takes effort. Don't miss this step. It's the critical step that most people miss when they go into business. They don't say, okay, what are the people, groups, and organizations I need to align myself with? What are the specialized skills I need to know? And then learn them. Learn them. Now, you can't become an expert because that takes forever, but get proficient enough like I did by writing, so then I learned on the job. And by the time I was done, and my book got reviewed in the New York Times, they said, he sounds like Hunter S. Thompson and Tom Wolfe, his mentors. They said that. I was, wow. And just to show you how powerful that technique is. Okay? So don't miss that step. Let's go to number 7 here. Thou shalt not become emotionally invested in thy goals. This is a big one for me. We live in a goal-oriented society. People set goals, and they sometimes hit them, but very often they don't. And it gets to the point where goals almost lose their power. I'm a goal person. I always set goals. But here's the deal. The way I look at my goals are not so much I need to hit my goals. My goals serve as signposts along the way to a much higher level, which is my vision for the future. How I really see my vision for the future, okay? Where is my life gonna be in 5 years, my whole life in 5 years? How does it look? Okay, how does it look in 5 years from now? And it's a fully integrated vision. A goal has a specific date, a time, an amount. It's finite. It's logic-based. A vision is emotion-based. Goals are logic-based. I want you to set your goals the way I said, raise your hand and high, stretch. The problem with most people in life is not they set their goals too high and miss them. Let me repeat that. The problem with most people, they don't set their goals too high and miss them. That's not the problem. The problem with 99% of the world is they set their goals too low and they hit them. Average sucks. The enemy of great is good. Don't set your goals low. Set your goals high. Now, don't set them in the stratosphere because then your brain says bullshit, bullshit. It loses its power. Which is why I said stretch just above your comfort zone. So when you're setting goals like that, very often you're not going to meet your goals. You'll miss them slightly. And that shows you, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? They're actual signposts. Are you heading in the right direction or the wrong direction? Now, just imagine what happens if you become emotionally invested. If you say, oh, if I don't hit this, I'm going to be miserable because I have this goal and I'm going to fucking focus on this goal. And when I hit it, then I'll feel good. That's the worst way to go through life. Because you know what will happen? If you hit the goal, you say, great, I feel great. What's next? You're fucking back in the doghouse again. You feel good for one day and then you're back setting your next goal. Goals have no power like that. Don't become emotionally invested. Invest yourself in your vision. Long-term, where you want to go. A goal shows you whether you're heading in the right direction or wrong direction, but don't be one of these people that says, I'll be happy when I achieve my goal, because that's a miserable way to live. You'll be happy for a couple of days in your life. And you'll always be like, what's next? What's next? Because there's always another goal on top of the one you achieve. Make sense? Yes? Okay. Number 8 here. Thou shalt cut off all thy, it should be thy exit ramps, okay? What do I mean by that? One thing I found in life is that people who are dabblers, people who go and they try 5 things at once, or they'll let me work my job and then try something on the side. They want to do their passion on their side. They want to make it so like they want to play it safe. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, because if I do that, I'm going to fail. You know what? Fuck it. Especially for this room. You guys are young. You guys can afford to be, you don't have to be families to support. I'm assuming most of you, right? Hopefully, okay? You don't have kids to support, except for a couple of you, maybe, right? But the point is this, okay? As you get older, your options get smaller and your responsibilities get larger. At this point in your life, for almost all of you, I bet you have very few people to rely on. That rely on you but yourself. I want you to go into an idea and don't give yourself a way out. Make success a must. Make the consequences of failure in your life so dire and unthinkable you won't allow it to happen. An example, when Pizarro, the explorer, for those of you who remember your ancient history back in the 1600s, right? 1500s. Pizarro, he went to the New World, and the first thing he did was what? He burned his ships. Why? He gave his sailors no choice but to hack out a new existence in the New World. If he would have had his ships, they said, you know what, it's too tough. Let's just run back to old England or France, where we came from, Spain, right? Where Italy, right? I don't remember my history that well, okay? He came from somewhere, right? The point is, he burned his ships. He cut off all the exit ramps. They had to succeed in the New World. What does a very smart general do? When a general wants to take over a city, does he surround the entire city and lay siege? If he does that, guess what happens? Every single soldier, every man, woman, and child will fight to the death. Because they know is that if the city falls, the women get raped, the children get slaughtered, and it's over, right? That's the old way of war, right? So what does a smart general do? What he does is he surrounds the entire city but leaves one exit ramp open and lets them all run out. He takes the city without a shot fired. Human nature, if we have a way out, we'll take it. When you go into business, when you find your passion in life, when you go at something, you want to succeed, don't give yourself a way out. Don't be looking at the help wanted section at night. Don't have another source of income. Make yourself succeed. Give yourself no option but to succeed. And then you'll have the power to harness what's inside, the power inside of you, this force inside of you. And when you really learn to do that, you'll be unstoppable. Make sense? Yes? Okay. Next. Thou shalt stop buying into thy own bullshit story. I'm too young. I'm too old. I'm a woman. I'm a man. There's always a frickin' reason why you can't get what you want in life. Here's the bottom line. You probably heard me say this quote before. What stops most people from achieving success is the bullshit story they tell themselves why they can't achieve it. We all have this narrative that we have in our head. It's the reasons why we can't get what we want in life. And what happens is that very often it's that freaking narrative that stops you from getting what you want. Here's a very simple form of success. See things as they are. See the world as it is, but not worse than it is. See things in your life as they are, but not worse than they are, which is what a lot of people do. They actually make things worse than they are. And they tell themselves a story about why they can't get what they want in life. And it's that bullshit story that stops them from getting what they want. See things as they are, but not worse than they are. Meaning get honest with yourself. What you know, what you don't know, what you need to know, but don't make it worse. Don't create a narrative about why you can't get. I come from the wrong family, and I'm startup capital. Let me just tell you, if you drop me in the Sahara Desert, I promise you I'll figure out how to make money selling sand to someone, okay? There's no way. My father, a friend of my best friend growing up, his dad, I was a kid that always had the lemonade stand. I was making money since I was 5 years old, right? By the time I was 16, I was making $30,000 a summer selling ices on the local beach, right? My friend's dad had a saying about me. He said, if you flush Jordan down the toilet bowl, he'd come up holding a plumber's license. What he means is I would never tell myself a story. I came from a poor family. It didn't matter to me. Within every single person in this room, you have the ability and the connections to go out and achieve anything you want in life. Is it gonna be hard? Yeah. And you have to work your ass off. You're better because everyone else is. Everyone out there in the real world is working their asses off. It's not fair in the real world. You're gonna have everything go against you sometimes. It's gonna seem like the world's against you. You know what? Often it is. It doesn't, nothing matters. If you're willing to follow these rules and put one foot in front of the other, set your vision for the future, put your goals beneath that, and just harness the power that's in you, you'll get what you want in life. Not today, not tomorrow maybe, but eventually, sooner than you think, you'll get what you want. But what happens is this. The first step is you have to get honest with yourself. What do I know? What don't I know? Meaning, like, see things as they are, see my life as it is, but not worse. If you tell yourself a story, oh, I'm too young right now, I don't have enough stuff, you know what happens? It's almost like a circuit breaker to getting honest with yourself. I'll give you one metaphor, then we'll move on. A car navigation system, right? They're brilliant these days. This car, you can punch in anything, it'll get you where you want to go. But what does a navigation system need? It needs, number one, an accurate starting point. You have to know where you are right now. If you don't enter a destination and where you are, well, your car has a chip, right? It's with the satellites, right? So, it knows exactly where you are. Without that, can you use it? No, it's worthless. You need to know exactly where you are. So you need to know where you are, what you know, right? That's your starting point. And then you have to enter a destination. That's your vision for the future, where you want to end up. The navigation system knows how to make the turns. That's what the rules of business and entrepreneurship are all about. Is how you go out and make something. How do you take any idea, turn it into a reality? That's what I do for a living. And that's what you're gonna learn how to do when you get into the real world. How do you take a vision, how do you essentially manifest into reality what's in your head? And it's not some woo-woo bullshit secret thing. It's reality, it's business 101. How do you go out and start a business, build a business, run a business, okay? How do you go into work for someone else's company, rise up as a valued asset? But you gotta get honest. Without that, you have no starting point. And without a starting point, there's no way to go to a vision. Make sense, yes? And last but not least, thou shalt commit yourself to identifying their why. Now, this is probably, of all things, it's the secret to success, in the sense that it's that one magical element that will give you the internal fortitude, the stick-to-itiveness to get where you want to go no matter what barriers and obstacles stand in your way. There's nothing you can't overcome. I'll give you the perfect analogy here, and we'll end with this, and I'll start answering questions, okay? That whole story about when I was in jail and how I was able to teach myself to write. Now listen, yes, I said it wasn't the worst jail in the world, but it was jail, guys. And jail sucks. Just so you understand what I went through, I lost everything in my life. I lost all my money. I lost my children for a time, my wife. I was embarrassed in society. I was smeared and vilified by the press. I mean, I literally hit rock bottom, and it was so, I just can't tell you how terrible. If you think it wasn't bad, it was bad. So the movie makes it look funny. It ended up bad, guys, okay? And I ended up in jail with no money. I was broke. My kids were gone. My wife had left town, okay? Whatever, the whole other story, okay? She didn't read the Gold Digger's Handbook. She was supposed to wait 3 months, but anyway. Separate story, right? She was out the first fucking day. It's like, wait, did you read the handbook? You're supposed to wait 3 months for appearances? Anyway, you're impossible to live with now. I just got out of jail in a second. Anyway, but listen, I lost everything in my life, okay? And I end up in jail, and the worst time in jail is at nighttime. When you're in your bunk, and you're alone with your thoughts. And I always get asked this question by journalists. How are you able to write this book? How are you able to teach yourself a skill like this, to write the way you do in jail? What gave you the ability to push through all that negativity? And let me tell you, it's negative there. And most people there are not coming back. I'm the exception. If any one of you think that movie's glamorous, it's glamorous, but if you think it's a path to success, you're wrong. For every guy like me who comes back, there's a million who don't. Don't do it. Take the good stuff I did, but don't make those mistakes I made with sacrificing your ethics and integrity. So I started with 1 and 2. Don't sacrifice your ethics and integrity. Don't cut corners, okay? Don't fall into that desire for instant gratification, to get everything yesterday. Good things take time. I'm not preaching to you guys because you know I'm just like you, okay? I'm a wild person inside, but I've learned that how disastrous it is for yourself, for your own self and your family, when you don't follow the rules of society, when you don't have ethics and integrity, which in my mind means doing the right thing when no one's looking. So I ended up in jail, losing everything. And the worst part of it was my kids. I had 2 kids. They were 7 and 5. And I loved my kids more than anything you could possibly imagine. And to embarrass them like that was in the newspaper. They had to move to a different part of the country. It was the worst thing that could happen to a man, is to, at least from someone that valued their children so much. And when I was alone in bed at night, and those worst moments, how did I stay positive? You know what I did? I closed my eyes and I visualized the faces of my 2 children. That was my why. Why did I have to come back? Why could I not say die? Why could I not? I love my kids so much. There was nothing I wouldn't do to make it right for them. You will only go so far for yourself. But what you will do for someone you love unconditionally or a cause you believe in, I'll run through a wall of fire for my kids and never look back. So my why did I have to come back from failure? It was because of my children. And once you understand your why, your why do you want to succeed? So you have a vision, right? But why? Is it money? Money won't do it. Money will take you so far. I want to be rich. What does that mean? Nothing much. Nice car. It's why at the deepest level. Is it your parents? Is it a religious cause? Is it something? And it's different for everybody. My why is not your why. But you need to really get honest and say, what is it at the deepest level? Why do you want to succeed in life? What causes am I tied to? What other people besides myself? When you do that, like I did that, you can go through anything in life and get what you want. That's what a powerful why will do for you. So when you go out there into the world, just know at the deepest level why success matters to you. I never thought much about it when I was very young. I thought, I want to be rich. I want nice cars. I want a lot of money. I want to marry a beautiful woman. That's what I want. Every guy wants, right? I mean, it's very pretty shallow. That's what I wanted. I wanted money. I wanted power. I wanted nice women. I wanted a great life. I never said why. And at the deepest level, when I understood it was about my children, you could harness that power and overcome anything. Those are 10, I would say, lessons, commandments, 10 things that if you really adhere to them, and I give you a bonus, which is the next slide, and never give up, ever. One thing that you'll find in every book of success, and so it's not my idea, it's old, everyone knows this, right? Most people give up too soon. Good things take time. You're gonna have failures before your success. That's why failing elegantly is so important. Don't give up, stick to your dream. Don't settle for anything less than excellence in your life. Extraordinary standards, guys, extraordinary. You're here. By definition, by being at Oxford, you're on the path to extraordinary, you are. But let me tell you something, the real world is an entirely different animal. It's not fair, it's not kind, and everybody's working hard. People are under pressure, you gotta be out there and don't sacrifice your ethics and integrity for it, but go out there, work your asses off, set your standards high, have your vision, have a why, and I promise you, if you also do the work on the skills portion and really learn, become a master and expert at what you wanna do, you will have a life of such joy and happiness, you won't fucking believe it. And that's my message to you. Thank you guys a lot. You guys are awesome.